not just in North Carolina, but around the country. And we believe we've had a significant impact in trying to prevent acts of mass violence. Maintaining situational awareness and interrupting potential domestic terrorism threats. We operate the state's only fusion center, and I would tell you that if there's one thing I worry about, it's the threat of domestic terrorism, acts of terrorism that would impact the state of North Carolina. I would tell you that I had a full career with Charlotte PD in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, and we had a Hezbollah cell in Charlotte in 1995. So North Carolina is not a stranger to terrorist activities. Also maintaining the technological capacity to address computer-based threats, including cybercrime, child pornography, and illicit use of cryptocurrency in the dark web. You know, I would tell you, we have our expert here with the internet crimes against children here, but I would tell you over the past 5 years, we've seen a 543% increase in the number of cyber threats coming into our facilities. So, but I would tell you that the number one challenge for us over the next 5 to 10 years is trying to recruit agents, qualified agents. I would say qualified agents. We are not going to change our standards or lower our standards to recruit agents to our agency. The future needs and areas of concern include the following: maintaining a competitive pay and benefits to support the special agents and the non-sworn staff. As I mentioned, we have 190 non-sworn staff members. They provide critical support to law enforcement around our state and even around our country. Establishing an administrative infrastructure to support independent executive agency status. I would add here that we are very, very grateful to now be an independent law enforcement agency, and I do believe that in the future it will pay great dividends to our state. So we're very grateful for the independence status that you've granted us. We indicated, we guessed at the number that we thought we might need for independence. We guessed it to be 8. We were correct in our guess, except that we need 2 auditors. We didn't realize that our agency, managing over $10 million in funds, was required to have 2 independent auditors. So we're coming back for additional non-sworn personnel. Increasing the investigative capacity to address continuing needs in drugs, violent crimes, and complex criminal investigations. Continued modernization of our IT infrastructure. It wouldn't surprise you that that's critical to our success and our support of law enforcement around our state. I would tell you that we manage right now 40 million messages a month in our IT infrastructure, supporting local and state and even federal law enforcement. So 40 million messages impact our IT infrastructure. Support for ongoing capital needs. We're grateful that you have funded a new headquarters building for us, so we're very, very grateful for that. Obviously, we'll have continuing capital needs there as part of our future needs and areas of concern. We were also asked to update you on the funding we've received since 2021. So here are the current Operations Appropriations Act of 2021. We received at that time a 2.5% pay increase. We got $2 million in non-recurring equipment that we used to fund crime scene search technology and radios our radios are about to reach the end of their lifespan. Advanced drone technology, tactical gear, and operating expenses. In that budget, we also were provided SBI human trafficking enforcement. We got 8 additional agents to combat human trafficking. You also provided $200,000 in non-recurring fund for RAPBAC and $250,000 of recurring funds for implementation of an electronic concealed weapons permit. You also funded the first set of funds for our $81.6 million capital improvement project. Continuing with the act of 2022, we received pay raises, 3.5% for most state employees and 4.5% for our agents in the STEP plan. We got $282,000 of recurring money and $191,920 for non-recurring equipment and IT needs, establishing our multi-factor identification or multi-factor authentication for our IT program, server cloud mitigation, and so on. We also received funding for 2 non-sworn mental health professionals, a psychologist, a second psychologist, and a social worker to support beta. And we received $500,000 recurring to address pay for assistant special agents in charge, and assistant directors. Next up is 2023. In that one, you established the SBI as an independent, single, unified cabinet-level agency effective December 1. We're grateful for that. We received 8% pay for ASACs and below, assistant special agents in charge and below, and 7% for other sworn effective July 1. We also received 4% increase for non-sworn in this current year and 3% for next year. We received 4 administrative positions to help us with independence. As I said, we're coming back to flesh out the other positions that we need. You also funded cyber tip funding for us. You provided 1 more sworn agent and 5 non-sworn effective January the 1st. Continuing on, these are renderings of our new headquarters building. If you're familiar with our old headquarters building, it's in the far right. And then the glass structure and the building to the left is our new headquarters. And we're very, very grateful. We will be renovating our old headquarters building and of course, building the new headquarters. That's another picture of it with the old headquarters building there to the right. Another one showing the glass facade that we're going to have, and another one showing the left of the building. That's important to help us recruit and retain both our sworn and non-sworn. Our vacancy rate is for non-sworn is 19.87, and that doesn't include the newly allocated positions. And those positions include positions in IT, criminal information and identification, as well as intelligence analysts. And I'd like to talk a minute about the challenge with intelligence analysts who play a critical role in what we do to support law enforcement around our state. In the last 24 months, we've lost 10 intel analysts, 3 to the private sector where they made between 130 and 140% pay raises, 5 to other state agencies where they received 5 to 15%, 15,000 rather, pay increases. We had 6 who declined who declined employment with us due to salary, and 7 interview declinations due to recruitment ranges. So 18.1% of our IT positions are vacant. As I've mentioned before, our information technology program supports local law enforcement in a big way. This is a big challenge for us, and IT positions around the state are, of course, a challenge to fill. And then 25.5% of our CIIS positions are vacant. So this is a critical gap, a critical challenge of ours. Continuing with the labor market adjustment reserve funds, you benchmark us, the legislature benchmarks us against a couple of sister agencies. And not having access to the labor market adjustment reserve fund has put our special agents and assistant special agents in charge behind one of our sister agencies by 4,167. Special agents in charge, 4,147, and then assistant directors behind by 4,441. The other sister agency that we're benchmarked against, we're 2.6 million behind. So pay uniformity certainly helps our recruitment and retention of our agents. Next up are legislation that we're pursuing. We began this, and House Bill 237 was authorized by the House last year. This is a critical tool in our tool belt, and we're here petitioning once again to get that legislation passed. It wouldn't surprise anyone that organized crime in North Carolina is the whole rationale behind organized crime is to make money. We feel the drug legislation is very adequate for us to confront the cartels and organized crime, but the money side of things needs to be propped up, and we think this anti-money laundering legislation that was passed in the House last year would provide us with that tool in our tool belt to affect the drug trafficking organizations and other criminal organizations that operate in our state. So we're asking for consideration in passing House Bill 237. And then finally, the SBI Emergency Pen Register, the Trap and Trace House Bill 719. It goes into, this slide goes into the specifics of it, but I would tell you that on a regular basis, we run into circumstances where there are life or death circumstances where if we had the ability to run a pen register, a trap and trace, and locate the phone, we could rescue people, and we could also interdict life or death circumstances here. So we're asking, and we've asked for quite some time here, we're asking again to see if we could get that House bill passed and become one of our tools on our tool belt. So I'll wrap it up with this, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman. Am I over time?
Wrap it up, be good, thank you.
Yes, sir. So I'd say this, that I've been in law enforcement a long, long time. At one point, I led the 19th largest law enforcement or local police agency in the country. I've never had the privilege of working with greater people than what I have right here, and the service that they provide. The support that we provide local law enforcement, the support that we provide other state agencies is incredible, and I would ask you for favorable consideration to help us with the pay and the investments in technology, including the technological advances that we're seeking in this year's budget. So very, very grateful. And one last thing I'd add, Eddie Buffalo, Secretary Buffalo in DPS, has been a great partner. We have been navigating this road to independence, and there was no map to follow. So we were trying to figure out our way, and Department of Public Safety has been an excellent partner of ours, and I'm very, very grateful for him and his staff to help us sort this out.
Thank you, Director. As you were talking, I was kind of looking up bills and kind of seeing where they were, and they're all,
Yes, sir.
all in a single place. We're going to work on that, though.
Yes, sir.
I know we got at least one question, maybe some more. Senator Grafstein.
Thank you. Just briefly, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's clear you're, like a lot of folks, are struggling with recruiting and retaining folks. My question is really just about the number of staff that you have. You mentioned, I think, 280 sworn and 190 non-sworn. Are those positions or are those current employees?
Those are positions. We're 17 short on the sworn side, and that does not include the 9 additional positions that we just got the authorization to fill, so actually 26. And then we're 30-some positions on the non-sworn. So we're like every other state agency, I get that, but we perform some critical roles that, any shortage impacts a lot of people outside of our organization.
Thank you. One quick follow-up.
Follow-up.
So it sounds like pay may be a key factor. Is that the main factor for you in recruiting and retaining, or are there other things that you're looking at?
Well, pay is certainly one of them. Benefits is another. We have smart applicants that look ahead and they compare. For example, my former agency pays $62,000 out of the gate. We pay in the low 50s. But they provide insurance benefits. I think that they may even in retirement now. So there are benefits beyond the pay that they look at. So, yes, ma'am.
Any other? Senator Marcus.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Maybe a related question I had for you, which is you mentioned being benchmarked against sister agencies, but unless I missed it, you didn't tell us what those sister agencies are. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. State Highway Patrol and ALE. Other state law enforcement agencies, they're great agencies. We're privileged to benchmark against them, but we're all competing for the same level of applicants. And
I understand. Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Director, for your presentation. Director, do you still, early on in my law enforcement career, we relied on y'all a lot.
Right.
Do you still get that request from counties and cities for assistance?
Yes, sir. It's pretty substantial, actually, and it hasn't changed much since you've left. We provide the sort of technical assistance, the expertise, the training, and the technology. We bring it in and we provide it to agencies that you obviously came from an agency that invested heavily in that as well, but there are many other agencies, smaller agencies, that don't have that ability or in some cases don't even have investigative capability. So we bring that in a big way. So we provide that support, critical support, I might add.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Director. Thank you for all you and all the folks in the SBI do for all of us. And thank you for coming and sharing some time with us today.
Thank you.
Next up is Colonel Freddie Johnson, Jr., Commander of State Highway Patrol. I'm a junior too, so I'll get that out there.
Yes, sir. All right, good afternoon. My name is Freddie Johnson. I have the honor and privilege to lead the men and women of the Highway Patrol. And before I get started, I want to echo, I've been the colonel now for 3 years, and General Assembly's been very gracious to the Highway Patrol. We've done a lot of improvements, so I do want to tell all of you thank you for that. Just kind of going through what have we done with the funding since 2021. Just tell you about some of the assets that we have increased. For us, a big thing is aviation. We are the front line of defense for North Carolina when it comes to aviation assets. This is actually a photograph of this is something new for the patrol. This is a Bell 429 with hoist capabilities. That's a $10.5 million helicopter. The hoist system that's on the side of that thing is about $300,000. It's the first of its kind for us. This is a first operation for us. We hope to have that thing fully functional by April 1st. They have been doing some very hardcore training the last 3 months. going in and out of that thing in the air. We have the capability to reach down and grab folks from 300 feet in the air. So that's a really good thing for us. We do a lot of air rescue on the coast and in the mountains. Another aircraft that we have now is another Bell 407. It has that's about a $4.8 million aircraft. It has all the FLIR capability. It has a hoist hook as well. It doesn't do it as fast as this new one does, but it's a good asset for the patrol. One of the things that we were charged with in 2021 was looking hard at civil disturbance response. And one of the things that the patrol done is enhanced our ability to respond to civil disturbance. We've trained 1,430 members to the basic level, and equipped them. That was one of the things that was identified in that we did not have equipment for all our members. Now we do. We have 140 members that are now trained to what we call level 1, as our advanced units. The equipment that they wear is fire retardant. It absorbs objects being thrown at them, and it allows them to move large groups of folks without having to do a lot of CS gas or things of that nature. You look in this photograph right here, the new task force concept, you see at the very top they're throwing fire at them. That's actually being trained to do that. That's about, each trooper is about $7,100 a piece to do that. The van down here at the bottom, we have 9 of those. Those things are designed to absorb damage and continue to operate. And the way that thing is set up, it's not likely to be set on fire. That's something we did not have. We did not have the ability to move troopers into areas when we were called for assistance. Another thing we've done, Patrol has a rapid response team. They specialize in tracking for manhunts. Some of the worst. This unit is deployed to help with that. We now have, we have never had armored rescue vehicles. Now we have 3. They're spread out across the state, and they can respond as needed. Our unit at Special Operations could get those things on the road in less than an hour. Another thing we have now is down at the bottom it's called a Rook. It's an armored skid steer that you could drive up, and we've had some situations across the state where law enforcement officers were pinned down in areas that you couldn't get vehicles to. We can utilize that thing now, respond it, and help get folks that are in trouble. Our Special Operations Unit, when we go out and have to do tracking, we have to operate around bodies of water. We've never had the ability to have our own resources as far as boats. Now we have a boat operation. So not only if they have to use it for a special operations purpose, but they also, my mandate to them was to train so it'd have dual use. So if we have hurricanes and things of that nature, floods, this unit can deploy. We have 2 of them. So they can help within the state. We have our collision reconstruction unit, which helps with not only just reconstructing serious crashes, they also have the ability to help our sister agency with forensic mapping for shooting scenes or any kind of special investigation that we're called upon to help with the district attorneys in these counties across the state. They have they're the most best equipped that they have ever been, and not only just the technology that they have, but also in the drone capability, and that stuff can be used for flying in areas that at nighttime, not only to search for missing people, but we can also use it to observe areas where we're operating in large mass during civil disturbance. This is a big thing for us. General Assembly gave us it was an $11 million project. The patrol was under a 42-year-old CAD system. A lot of problems with that held us back as an agency. That thing is now implemented. One of the big things for us is we work in an environment now where we've had some situations where troopers have been critically injured, even killed. We couldn't find them. Our radio system has the ability, what we call trooper down technology. If that thing lays horizontal, it activates. This CAD was a part of that, so we could find them if something happens quicker than them laying on the side of the road. We're still in the implementation process. We're about that, all the radios being programmed for that piece is about 20% across the state. We hope to have that done by the end of this year, but we're moving as fast as we can on that. That system also had an integrated AVL, automatic vehicle locator system, now so we can see our troopers and get them notified when we get these calls for service from the public, and we can actually get them to them quicker. That has reduced response times by 23 minutes for our agency. That's a good thing. And then what else it brought to the table for us is what we call Next Gen 911. So when you call our communication centers now, before we couldn't see you, we deal with a lot of people that dial star HP or 911 on the side of these interstates, on roads. They don't have a clue where they are. And we had to try to work through to try to find them. Now with this new CAD system and this implemented, we can see them on a map and get somebody to them. So that has helped a lot. So we're very, very grateful for your investment in us on that. I didn't bring all the pictures like Director Schurmeyer did, but our training academy is 100 years old. And I know many of you have gone out there and toured that facility, and you know how antiquated it is. And we are very, very gracious that we are now in the process of getting that place replaced. And the first 4 buildings are fully funded, and bids went out last week on those, so we expect that to start moving along. I'll be glad to share what those buildings look like when we get that back, but we got them. One of the other things that's in here that's been included in the budget was the replacement of the Wilmington Patrol Station in New Hanover County and the Whiteville Patrol Station in Columbus County. And we're working with our partners at Department of Transportation to get those places replaced, and we anticipate to see that within the next 18 months. We actually went to the site and reviewed the one in Brunswick Tuesday, as a matter of fact. And I would like to compliment the Physical Research Division. They have been going around with us and starting to really look at our patrol facilities across the state. And I think that was very eye-opening with them. We just went to Greensboro last week. So I think we're going to see some good things come out of that. Most of our facilities across the state, specifically if you look at our troop headquarters, those buildings were built in 1942. That's how old they are. Funding, I'm not going to say anything that Director Schurmeyer didn't say here, but one of the big issues right now affecting law enforcement is recruiting and retention. It's not just a North Carolina problem, it's a nationwide problem. We have done a comparative study that shows if you just look within North Carolina, we're at the bottom when you look at the top 20 agencies within North Carolina and what they pay. In the last year's budget, and we're very grateful for this, the patrol received 11% salary increase for first sergeants and below down to the rank of trooper, and for lieutenants up 7%. One of the things that the split in the ranks like that caused a compression of 4.7 between the rank of first sergeant and lieutenant. That's one of the things we need to identify to fix that. It's a lot to promote somebody to lieutenant from the coast, and give them a 4% pay raise and send them to the mountains. One of the, we have implemented several strategies to improve retention and trying to hire. We've just started, we're hiring people now. We'll vet them through the process, and we'll hire them, pay them to go to BLET. And then as soon as they graduate, the community college system has the BLET programs all graduate within 2 weeks of each other. They all graduate about the same time. When they graduate, we'll send them to our Fast Track Patrol Academy and get them out on the road. And that, well, another thing, one of the things that we did was we ran a patrol school in the mountains, and we had 62 people eligible to go to that class. And that's something we have not done that in a long, long time. Typically, our troopers are trained here in Raleigh at our academy. We had 62 people available to get there. By the time that school started, only 32 of them showed up, and they got hired somewhere else, and then some of them basically turned us down because of the salary. So we think with the improvements that we've made, we right now our pool of applicants that are passing the process has massively increased. Labor market adjustment, we're talking about our civilians here, just kind of the impact. Director Schurmeyer hit on this. The patrol was also excluded from the LMAR funding, and I highlighted the Pacific language in there at the bottom so you can see exactly where the issue was. When you look at this picture right here, one of the things as an agency, our top issues is hiring with troopers, and it's hiring some of our civilian force, which is really what makes us work. We cannot do what we do without their help. In this particular, we got a mechanic. We're having issues now in the mechanic industry. The gentleman down on the bottom is a telecommunicator. Our biggest hurt right now is the telecommunication world. High turnover. We're competing with 911 centers and basically information centers, and the salaries are 10,000 plus higher than what we can compete with. And a lot of those places outside of the 911 centers, they're operating a Monday through Friday kind of 8 to 5 job, and our folks have got to be available 24/7, weekends, holidays, nights, everything. And it's a lot to ask. So I would just, I would ask that that Pacific language be changed. I think the spirit of that law, to me, when y'all did that, was the uniform side, the sworn side of the patrol or the State Bureau of Investigation. I don't think the civilian side. Patrol was 1,804 positions, sworn side, and about 449 civilians. And we need some help to get that fixed. I think we can get that done.